Hi everyone and welcome back to Vina Wonders. So today this is going to be a video response to a lot of the comments that I got on my last book haul, which was a book haul featuring books I got off of Book Depository now that they've started shipping to the Philippines again. So I just thought that in this video I could talk a little bit more about the logistics of buying books online, especially since I think that's something a lot of us are kind of curious about, and a lot of people who want to buy books, especially from international retailers like Book Depository and Amazon, are kind of interested in knowing about. So I thought that this wouldn't be a complete video without also talking about local retailers, because I think the logistics of that and the mechanics of that have definitely shifted since we've been in this pandemic, and yeah, I just want you guys to have as many options as possible. So I'm going to be talking about first the local retailers, so we'll cover university affiliated presses on Shopee and Lazada. We'll talk about Instagram specialty stores, and we'll also talk about Fully Booked, which I think is like one of the major chains here in the Philippines where everyone can get that good. And then of course we'll end with Amazon and Book Depository. So just a disclaimer before we get into it, I still think that Jeff Bezos is a scumbag, but honestly at this point, not buying books from Amazon is going to be more detrimental to us because we won't get that literature than it is to him, because even if we stop like on the individual level, there's really not much we can do. So anyway, let's talk about book buying. Okay, so first let's talk about Shopee and Lazada. So a lot of presses like Ateneo de Manila University Press, University of the Philippines Press have moved their stores online to Shopee and Lazada. And this is something that is very exciting for me because before the pandemic, honestly, it would be a struggle to get my hands on these books, especially when it comes to literary criticism. And I remember that when we were in class, it would always be a matter of our prof having to talk to whoever's in charge at the press at that university to be able to make some copies available for us, which never really made sense to me, just because it should be available. Like, it's a university and you're requiring us to read these things, so it should be available. But now they have made all of those things available. So if you're interested in reading from people like Grisel B. Mojares, Carolyn S. Howe, I love how my mind suddenly went blank. Lualhati Bautista, yeah, all of those great authors. You can get them now online, Shopee and Lazada, from Ateneo and UP presses. I'm sure there are other university presses that maybe I haven't explored yet. As for my alma mater, De La Salle, please tell me when. But yes, I'm hoping that soon VLSU books will be available online as well. For Instagram specialty stores, which I have spoken about before, I think I've hauled some books throughout the duration of this pandemic that have been from Omniana and have been from Book Ends Beginnings, which are the two major Instagram specialty stores that I'll be talking about today. So these two stores are very different in their mechanisms, although they both primarily promote on Instagram. So first let's talk about Book Ends Beginnings. So for Book Ends Beginnings, they don't have a fixed offering of books. They sell books on this kind of per drop basis, if that makes sense. So for example, they'll announce a week before the book drop that, hey, we're going to be doing a book drop, and then when they do the book drop, they upload photos of the books, and then it's kind of like a first come first reserve thing, and very similar to an auction. It's very exciting. I have been guilty of like refreshing and she's like, mine. And well, that can be great, and I do think that it's very exhilarating and very fun. I think the one downside of selling books that way is that your offerings are kind of limited to what they're selling at the time, or they're kind of limited to what the books that they're offering are at the time. So it's not really great for if you're looking for a specific title or if you already have a specific title in mind. That said, something you can do through Book Ends Beginnings is do a pre-order. So if there's a book you're looking for, they're not offering it, and you don't feel like participating in the auction/sale, you can message them and ask them if you can pre-order this book through them. So I know you guys might be thinking, like, if you're just gonna order it anyway and you're gonna have to wait a couple of weeks, then what's the point of pre-ordering it through them? I feel like this option might be the most advantageous for those of you who may not have credit cards, who may not want to deal with whether you have to go to the post office or not, or whether you have to like follow up with customer service, etc. So I think this is great for people who like to buy books on a cash basis, and Bookend's beginnings are always very responsible with their pre-orders, so they'll always update you. I think that now it takes a little less time since ports are open again and stuff. Back during kind of the most isolated periods of the pandemic, I think it took around 3 months to get my pre-ordered books from them, so it used to take a while. Now I think it takes less than 3 weeks. The last book I pre-ordered with them was Joan Didion's new book. It's right here. Let me tell you what I mean. And it took super short, like 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks. So yeah. For Omniana, which I've been kind of obsessed with, just because their aesthetic is so beautiful, and I know a lot of people are like, the books there are expensive, and I know, but they're also really good books. So anyway, Omniana, they kind of work on a different basis where everything is on hand, and honestly I think that that's also why so many people get hooked on buying from Omniana, because they do a same-day delivery if you reach their cutoff, and if not, it'll be with you the next day. So yeah, the selection is also a little bit limited in the sense that they don't have a lot of YA, for example. They don't have a lot of fantasy. They don't have a lot of like self-helpy books. But that said, if you are interested in like more literary quote-unquote genres of like poetry, fiction, essays, I feel like this is the kind of store that you would really enjoy. They have a very good curatorial sense, and the editions that they offer are beautiful. They are a little bit pricier, but if you're not the kind of person who kind of likes to buy in quantity, and if you're looking for more of like a quality buy that you can afford to splurge a little bit on, then I would definitely recommend Omniana for you. And now let's talk about Fully Booked. So Fully Booked is a huge chain here in the Philippines, and honestly, since kind of the decline of Power Books and National Bookstore into school supply stores, I feel like Fully Booked has really stepped up to the plate, and I think that they're kind of the major retailer now of all these publishers, all of these books. So I'm so happy that Fully Booked is kind of adapting and thriving in this pandemic. So you can buy books through their website, fullybookedonline.com, and they have both COD or cash on delivery options, and they also have credit card and PayPal options. So honestly, like, most of my hauls have been through Fully Booked just because it's convenient. They have a lot of options. The only thing is that the stocks are limited. So if I like a certain book and they have it, I know that they probably only carry like 3 to 5 copies of that book. So more or less, I'm gonna go and buy it. The turnaround time is a little bit longer than Omniana. So if Omniana does it the next day, with Fully Booked, you'll probably have to wait like 3 to 4 days. Although that's definitely not bad, and it's definitely a short time compared to international retailers, or if you're going to go through a pre-order of like pasabay kind of option. Fully Booked, I think, is super hassle-free. It's just a question of whether or not they have stock. Okay, so let's move on to the retailers that ship from abroad. So first, I want to talk about Amazon. Amazon, honestly, before the pandemic, I had never been interested in buying from Amazon aside from the Kindle store, just because I got this impression that the books would go through the post office, and I got this impression that it would take long, or that they didn't ship here. And I'm not really sure why, because they do own Book Depository, so it would make sense if they were similar in that sense. So I really started buying off of Amazon because my friend Astir bought some tarot cards from Amazon, and he was like, it was here in like a week and a half, and he was like, the quality was great, and the one time that he had a problem with the thing he ordered, he was able to return it and have the money refunded to his account. So so I bought a lot of books actually off of Amazon throughout probably the past 5 months or so, and so far my transactions with them have been very smooth. The only thing I think is that sometimes your orders can arrive separately, although that's something that happens with Book Depository as well. For example, I ordered a number of art books. I ordered a book on Georgia O'Keeffe. a book on Henry Matisse, and a book on Edward Hopper. And even if they were all included in the same order, they arrived on different dates. So I had to wait longer for some and then wait a shorter period for others. But other than that, it was super hassle-free. If you have a credit card, I feel like Amazon would definitely be a good option for you. And they also have a lot of different buying options. So you're not stuck with just one price point. For example, the Thoth tarot book that I bought, it was available at like the brand new like $14 option, and then there was also the option to buy it secondhand for like $8, etc. So you have a wider range of options. And lastly, that brings us to the fan favorite, Book Depository. So I'm very happy Book Depository is back open, and I feel like with Book Depository, the thing they really have going for them is just the breadth of their collection of books. So Amazon, of course, has pretty much everything, but I feel like Book Depository is a little bit more specialized in that they will have a lot of titles, even from like independent bookstores. They'll have a lot of titles from presses like Fitzcarraldo. So a lot of those very artsy, very curatorial publishing houses also will sell through Book Depository. And honestly, I was kind of nervous placing my first order when they said that they were shipping to the Philippines again, just because I wasn't sure how the customs side of things had changed here. But actually, it hasn't changed much, and I'll go through that in a bit. So I ordered my books on April 5th, and they arrived here last week. So that would be like the last week of May. So I think it takes a lot longer now. It used to take around 2 weeks since they dispatched the order, and now it's taken around 3.5 weeks, so almost a month before you get the books. And they still arrive in the same way, like they're packaged in the same way. They're still delivered straight to your apartment building or straight to your house. The only thing is that the delivery men from the post office, they do ask for some money. So they ask for 112 pesos. So at first this kind of bothered me, because before, whenever they would ship Book Depository stuff, they wouldn't ask for a fee anymore. However, when I asked the delivery guy what it was for, he said that that 112 pesos also goes to their hazard pay, because now, of course, they don't ask people to go to the post office, they just deliver it for you. And I was thinking about it, and I really think that 112 pesos isn't too bad. And that 112 is per delivery. It's not per package. So if you get like 5 packages, they're not gonna ask you to pay like 600 plus pesos. So yeah, I feel like it's worth it, because these delivery guys, like these kuyas, they are going from place to place and putting themselves at risk also, just so we get our books and we get our packages. So at the end of the day, I think it's still worth it to buy from Book Depository. You just have to be a little bit more patient. And again, I will make the disclaimer that I live in Metro Manila, and I live in an area that's very accessible, very central. So I feel like it might differ if you're, let's say, from Alabang, from Parañaque, or maybe even like QC. I feel like it'll definitely differ. I feel like it'll definitely differ also depending on your LGU, depending on the post office that is in your area, and what the exact rules for Book Depository and the specific deal that they have with your customs area is. So yeah. So I'm just saying, this is my experience, and I cannot speak for every area in the Philippines, right? I hope that this video has been helpful. So far, I think that's it. If you have any more questions about buying books online, just leave them in the comments below, and I would be happy to answer them for you guys if I have the answer, or at least redirect you to a resource that might have them. Please don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!